Did you troop up the hill to Windsor Castle yesterday and meet the Queen as part of Boris Johnson's desire to attract investment into the country? I mean, do you think events like yesterday's Global Investment Summit are worth holding?
Absolutely. Apart from anything else, I did sit beside Kate Bingham for quite a long time and had the privileged access, so I got the longer version of the great advice that she gave on this programme a moment ago. And yes, I was at Windsor Castle. I did meet the Queen, had a good conversation about her. I told her that I was meeting her son today to talk about sustainability amongst other issues. And clearly it was a very, very good session. I mean, the Prime Minister was on top form, and there was a huge amount of investors from across the world listening to the opportunities they have to invest in the UK. And as you know, I've been on the programme many times talking about what a great place the UK is to invest. We've had a lot of it to ourselves, I guess, for the last 10 years, but we will be joined by many others because there's a huge investment gap across the UK because we've underinvested in so many things for the last 30 or 40 years. So we need a massive step up in investment here in the UK because we want to be a higher productivity, higher growth, higher wage economy going forward. And we don't want, excessive house price inflation caused by shortages. And these are themes that we've talked about many times before on this programme.
Is there a bit of tokenism about the way the government's going about things? I mean, in your report, you talk about the need for a comprehensive economic plan, but what have we had recently? A gas boiler announcement programme, I think, within the last 24, 48 hours, which seemed to be very limited in its scope and quite expensive. We had an announcement on visas for foreign lorry drivers, which again, some have claimed was pretty much designed to fail before it got off the drawing board here. Is there a kind of knee-jerk element to these quick policy announcements designed to grab headlines, but really not addressing the fundamental problem of Build Back Better and some of the current supply chain challenges?
No, I think you've made a very good point there. I think the Prime Minister is definitely pointing in the right direction. It's about delivery and execution. And as we've said before, we're actually brilliant at delivery and execution. But there's not enough delivery and execution going on. And we need, I think, bigger policy interventions and leaning in much more than we have in the past. And almost every issue we see, there's a bigger scale opportunity. And we're hoping the investment summit yesterday will be a step in the right direction. One of the points we were making in our report was you shouldn't have to be rich to be green. I think we've done, I think, the first real study on the inequality that arises in the greening of the economy and how difficult it is for poorer people to actually become green. And this, as you said, the boiler issue is a good example of that. The amount of money that's been put aside won't persuade most households in Britain to actually change technologies. And so we've got lots of great technological solutions around the world at the moment, but we're not implementing them fast enough or getting into the true economies of scale that we saw, particularly in solar, where we've seen a massive positive change in the pricing of solar over the last 20 years. And we've got to figure out how we go quicker. I mean, as Kate said, the vaccination programme, we got the technology to work very, very quickly. We have to figure out how do we do these things more economic, quicker, and have a bigger impact. We've had 200 years of belching out CO2 in the UK. We've got 20 years to sort it out and really figure out how we can have a truly green economy and get on track to deliver our net zero emissions target by 2050.
Nigel, can I pick up on that point around the pace of change, because the Prime Minister has made it a point to try and race towards net zero. But I wonder whether it's a case of slow and steady wins the race, because at this point, as you mentioned, the boiler issue and other initiatives, we're talking about a very expensive bill here that no doubt will be footed by the taxpayer. We're talking about higher taxes potentially, possibly even inflation, which, as we all know, can derail an economy. And one would expect a stronger economy would be one that can pay for changes. So do you have concerns about the pace that the Prime Minister is trying to execute on some of these changes?
Well, I think the execution is difficult. As we were saying, that there isn't enough policy intervention so that we can go fast, but it's a step in the right direction. You're right that actually a good economic background with ever-increasing wages and much lower house price inflation would be a good background to introduce some of the ideas that we're thinking about right now. But we haven't got there yet. As again, as you rightly point out, there's still lots of demand and supply shocks going on in the world, and we're all working our way through these quite tricky times with huge spikes in demand, huge spikes, issues in the supply chain, and massive price impacts that we don't fully understand what's going on in the economy.